The stock to watch this morning is AMD. OpenAI having such an outsized impact on this public market. Shares up, check this out, nearly 36%. It signed a deal of a data center with OpenAI. It could get a nearly 10% stake in the chip maker. AMD expects the deal to lead to tens of billions of dollars in revenue. And let's get more into that story on the AMD OpenAI news with Bloomberg Tech's
AMD just struck a massive multi-year alliance with OpenAI. And this isn't your average tech handshake. This could be the moment AMD finally steps out of Nvidia's shadow and rewrites the balance of power in the trillion-dollar AI chip race. The agreement is enormous in scope and ambition. But it also opens a Pandora's box of financial questions. How exactly will OpenAI fund this? Can they sustain multi-billion-dollar build-outs across partners like Nvidia, Oracle, and now AMD? Or are we watching the first signs of an AI financing bubble forming beneath the surface? This is the kind of move that could either propel the industry into its next phase or expose how fragile the foundation really is.
So, Ed, what exactly was agreed upon here?
I mean, you have a great command of the basic details, but there's a lot of unanswered questions, right? So it's a multi-year agreement, 6 gigawatts of capacity, which is basically the peak energy demand of a sizable city. The questions that remain is, how is OpenAI going to finance this? Because yes, in the structure, AMD issues OpenAI a warrant for 160 million AMD shares, but they are deliverable in tranches against milestones that will require OpenAI to spend money, right? So the first tranche of stock is deliverable on completion of the first gigawatt of capacity. And what is not answered is, does OpenAI look to some other kind of financing mechanism to make this happen? For AMD, it's a way of getting a bigger foothold on a market in which it is a distant number 2, maybe even number 3 player behind Nvidia, right? And so OpenAI in this case is their golden ticket to the inference level compute that we think we'll need in the future.
So here's what's really happening behind the headlines. OpenAI is going all in on AMD, committing to a colossal 6 gigawatt data center expansion. That's the energy footprint of an entire city, paired with a potential 10% equity stake in AMD itself. That's a game-changing commitment for both sides. But here's the catch. OpenAI doesn't actually have the cash yet. These shares will only be unlocked in stages, and every stage requires OpenAI to spend real money first. To do that, they may need to tap the debt markets or secure even more outside funding, layering new financial risk on top of an already leveraged AI ecosystem. For AMD, though, this could be a breakthrough moment. It gives them a legitimate chance to challenge Nvidia's dominance, especially in inference workloads, the side of AI where efficiency and scale matter more than raw power. If AMD delivers, it could finally transition from being the second option to becoming a true heavyweight in AI compute. This isn't just a partnership. It's a signal to the entire market that AI infrastructure has become the new oil of the digital era. Whoever controls the chips controls the future. Clip used under fair use for commentary and educational purposes.
Does this mean anything for some of AMD's competition? When this was announced, Intel shares immediately fell. They're back up. Nvidia shares have been off all this morning. Does it make a difference to them?
So in the market for AI accelerators or high-performance GPUs, I think AMD would argue that this lets them fight back in some market share of a core player in the AI space. We know that OpenAI, once the capacity is online, is going to use the AMD gear for inference. In other words, running models as opposed to training them. That's very interesting. Does that signal to the market that AMD's technology is better at inference than NVIDIA's? We don't know, but that's a reasonable question to ask. Again, in the broader context of data center, the AI accelerators, but also CPU, AMD is very small compared to what NVIDIA is doing with a literal technical monopoly in this space. So, until the data center is built and it's not just sand and dirt in the ground, we won't know that.
This is TheCryptagon. Stay sharp, stay informed.